Just wait, the well he may roam. Always the hero comes home.
What's up, sailors, and welcome back to the world of Aeternum. No official news yet surrounding New World, but this time around, I wanted to do a sort of recap about a subject that I'm sure a lot of us have been pretty excited about for this game. And of course, it's the weapons. Specifically the upcoming ones we might see in 2021 for New World. Part of my reasoning for this is because I noticed some people were not aware that we have seen the spear weapon before it was announced in this upcoming alpha. It's one of the handful that I mentioned were still being worked on when I made my New World Changes video, and today I wanted to expand on that. First, let's start with all the weapons that have their own skill trees that we have publicly seen so far. Going off the preview event, we have one-handed sword and shield, the hatchet, also known as the throwing axe, bow and arrow, muskets, the fire staff, the life staff, and the great hammer. Recently introduced in this ongoing testing phase is the spear. This is a weapon we have seen footage for in this new iteration during the GameStar interview. During this, we only see one skill in particular, which is the spear toss. Before this point, in the very first alpha, spear was also a thing. It had various attack animations, including a sprint attack, standing basic attack, alongside being able to throw it here too. Now, an upcoming weapon that is very similar to the spear is the halberd. This is one we haven't seen any other screenshots of or footage of in the public space, but during the Corrupted Breach dev blog, we caught a glimpse of this in the very first screenshot. Now, I'm not sure if this will actually be its own weapon with a completely different skill tree, but I hope that it is. Or they might throw it into the spear class and have it use the same skills. Some observations I've made against this is that the wielding stance of the halberd differs from that of the spear. Comparing them side by side, you'll notice how the character with the halberd holds it at a downward angle, while the spear one faces upward, like a pike wall. Now, this could just be a freeze frame at a specific part in the attack or moving animation, but I'm hoping this gives a clue that it'll be its own separate weapon. Now, before we continue talking about the upcoming, first I'd like to jump into a few that are still undecided, starting with the gauntlet. This is a weapon that predates the magic staffs and acted as a basic healing weapon in the first alpha. Since that point, the weapon has been taken out and replaced with the magic staffs. So far, we haven't had confirmation that it will be making a comeback, but this is a weapon I don't think they should count out. The form we had the gauntlets in for the last alpha may not have been that exciting, but the idea of taking the gauntlets and expanding them beyond just being a support weapon is what I think makes them very worth it. As a magic weapon, they could even duplicate the already existing schools of magic, like giving us fire gauntlets, life gauntlets, and give us 2 skill trees for each, and I'm sure that would work just fine. Give people some more to work with on the magic side because currently it's a bit lacking, but that's also something we'll be diving into at the end of this list. Gauntlets could also be used for more schools of magic than just fire, life, lightning, earth-based, etc. Maybe they could even have melee-based ones if they decided to, but for now, let's keep our fingers crossed. Next up is the one-handed mace, another one that comes from the first alpha, and although it has not been mentioned as much as the gauntlets, this is another one I'm sure people would love to see return. I think this could potentially be a substitute to sword and shield as a tanking weapon. I could see them putting in some minor crowd control abilities like short stuns, damage reduction skills, and taunts, but this is definitely another one I hope they decide to bring back. For the third and fourth one, let's start with the greatsword, the weapon that I would personally use over the majority of the rest. I always love playing bruiser type characters in RPGs, and for MMOs, one of my favorite things to run with. But aside from the screenshot we saw of the greatsword very early on, there is a clip that seems to show this weapon being used against the Corrupted. You can still find this clip on the Steam page for New World if you scroll down and open up the description, but let me enhance right here. From the front, on first glance, it's easy to mistake this for either a sword or even a spear, but on closer inspection and seeing it from a different angle, I can't think of any other weapon this could be other than a greatsword. They never commented on this, and come to think of it, I never thought to ask, but this could be a hat tip towards the future. Greatsword, as far as I've seen, has been one of the more popular weapon requests, and there's already a mini-boss in the game that wields one. Located in Great Cleave in the Narrow Pass, I've shown myself fighting this boss a few times and I come back every time a new test opens up. It even has skills of its own which I could see being added to the greatsword, if they give us one in the future. The fourth one would be the tower shields. Funny enough, this one is also in that very same clip that I mentioned, but instead of being on the left side, it's on the right. Of course, this probably will function the same as any other shield, but currently, we've only experienced the kite shields and round shields, so in the future they might just implement tower shields, which they haven't confirmed yet, but this is another one that would really be good to see. Continuing on the upcoming weapons we have seen, let's start with the pistol. During the third developer diary of New World that's titled Call to Arms, we had a first showcase of a couple different weapons. One of them was the pistol. In 2 different scenes we get a look at this weapon, but without the UI showing. We don't get a chance to see potential skills or what the aiming reticle looks like. The only thing we do see is that it does appear to be a main-handed weapon, but also that you can reload it while moving just like the musket. No idea what the skill tree of this one would look like, but I would imagine a more mobile and fast-paced version of what we have with the musket. The next one is Rapier. This one is interesting because during the dev diary, we see it being used in multiple different ways. If you look here when the character is using it and about to be attacked by the Great Axe, he holds it up to his face in a completely different animation than we've used before. However, at other points in the video, it's being held like a one-handed sword in combination to the shield. It's hard to say if this one will truly end up being its own weapon similar to the halberd situation, but I truly hope that it does. We talked about previously how great it would be to get more melee weapons specifically built towards dexterity, to allow for more diversity between builds. So far we've now got Spear in addition to the Hatchet, so that's already a great start. Let's cross our fingers for the Rapier as well. For the last 2, let's start with the Great Axe. This one we've seen in multiple forms across dev diaries and footage. We could use its basic attacks, heavy attacks, and even 2 of its skills. One of them was a small spinning ability while the other was a damage buff. You even see this being executed at a couple points during the same diary. I don't know when we'll get this one, but it's probably my most anticipated melee weapon right now next to greatswords. So far they haven't really talked any more about it, but just like the others, we'll have to see what they decide. For the very last one that we know should be upcoming, we have an offhand weapon, specifically the torches. This was when the Combat Unleashed trailer had its debut during the PC Gamer livestream back in June. For just a few seconds during this, we get to see a character wielding one alongside a sword. Other than providing a light source, we don't really know what purpose the torches will serve. But maybe, just maybe, we might get the ability to do a melee bash with it to set enemies on fire. Probably too much to hope for its own skill tree, but I think it'd be cool if at the very least, we could do that. One of my most favorite things about New World is that it doesn't limit itself to classes. Not saying it's a perfect system, but just think about it. We don't have to worry about gender locking, something that's plagued Eastern MMOs to no end. Don't have to worry about class limitations, we can use whatever we want. From a design perspective, I'd imagine this is easier for Amazon, because all they have to do is design the weapons and their skills plus animations. They don't have to worry about other systems slowing that down. They just do it all in one go. And this is something I'm hoping allows them to add new ones faster than other games could. Now, although that's all the upcoming weapons we've seen footage of, or ones that existed in the past that are currently undecided, there's one more potential weapon. Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, Future Medieval here. I've received some new information and I'm gonna have to cut this portion out. Some of you already know half of what I'm talking about, but if you're not understanding, I can't dive deeper, I'm so sorry. Instead, let me leave with 2 quotes of New World's future weapon implementations. First, earlier this year there were multiple media events with different press groups. One of these was MMORPG.com. During an interview they were told that players would be able to join different schools of magic, as in plural. So far, of course, we only have Fire and Life that we've seen and used publicly, so far. The second quote I'd like to bring to you is about weapons directly. One thing we have to keep in mind, even though the playstyles we have access to right now are not a huge amount, they've even said in previous interviews they will never stop working on the combat and adding new weapons into the game. So 2 years from now we could be up to 20 weapons total for all we know. But with that though, that's all I've got for you today, folks. As for this discussion, thanks so much for watching, have a wonderful night or day, and farewell.